This young man placed a cell phone on his grandfather's corpse, and after the burial was finished, he sent his grandpa a text message. But the next day, to his shock, he actually got a reply from his grandpa's phone. Craig could hardly believe this was real. Could his grandfather still be alive? He hurriedly opened the message to check. The reply was a string of strange letters. Craig immediately ran downstairs to tell his father what had happened. He suspected that his grandfather might still be alive and suggested that his father hurry and dig him up. But his father didn't believe it at all, because the hospital had already performed an autopsy on the body and only allowed the burial after confirming he was dead. His father thought it was most likely just a phone malfunction, but Craig didn't think so, because the strange letters in the text were a secret code between him and his grandpa. He believed it was a cry for help from his grandfather. So he went back to the cemetery alone and took out his phone to call his grandfather's number. Then he lay down on his grandpa's grave and listened carefully. To his astonishment, he actually heard the ringtone coming from underground. That meant the phone was clearly still inside the coffin. He immediately felt that something was off, but he had no idea what was really going on, so he could only keep all his questions to himself. A month later, Craig slowly began to recover from the pain of losing his grandfather, until one night on Christmas, all because he danced one song with the school's prettiest girl at a class get-together. He ended up angering the school bully. The bully dragged Craig outside and proceeded to beat him up brutally. Before leaving, he pinned Craig to the ground and threatened him. Afraid of further retaliation, when his father asked about the bruises on his face, he could only lie and say he'd fallen by accident. Craig felt incredibly wrong. When he got home, he couldn't help calling his grandfather's voicemail and tearfully pouring out everything that had happened that day. He was afraid the bully wouldn't let him off so easily. At first, Craig just wanted to vent his emotions, but the next morning he received a text from a classmate. The classmate told him the bully was dead. Craig found it almost impossible to believe, until he personally saw the bully's body being loaded into a police vehicle and taken away. Only then did he accept it was real. What was even creepier was the way the bully had died. His position was exactly the same as the way he'd pinned Craig to the ground the night before. Craig was sure the bully's death had something to do with his grandfather. So that night, in order to test his theory, he called his grandfather's voicemail again. He poured out all the doubts that had been weighing on his mind. But before he could even process his own words, his grandfather actually called him back.